Hi, my name is Dr. Jen Anaker. Welcome back to our videos. I'm the owner of Anaker Clinics of Chiropractic, and we are super excited that you're here. You know, we always try to give great content and great information that you can take home for yourself and for your family. Our three platforms are answering chiropractic questions, giving you wellness tips, as well as giving you a little insight into some of the things that I do for my own healthcare. So spring has sprung here in Boise, and I, like many people like yourself, are getting excited to be able to plant in your yard and in your garden. You know, just the other day I called my grandpa for his 89th birthday, and it was so much fun because one of the things that we like to talk about is gardening, what he was going to plant, where he was going to plant it. And I just think that gardening is one of those things that you can do for your mind, obviously for the food itself. And it's just one of those things that growing up in Iowa, it was super fun to be able to, well, I should say I kind of took it for granted that I was always around things that were growing when you're in a farm country. So gardening for me is a nice way to get back in the ground. It's good for your body, good for your soul, and awesome food. So while we're gardening, we also want to be doing things smart. A lot of times, you know, you come out of winter months and maybe you haven't done a whole lot over the winter, and all of a sudden you get this zest for life and you think, I'm going to spend all Saturday redoing my garden, redoing the lawn, and just doing way more activity than your body's seen for the last 3 to 6 months. So here are 7 tips on really the right moves and positionings, things to think about as you're gardening and doing things around your yard. So number 1 is to alternate what you're doing. You know, maybe go from an activity that's a little lighter to something a little heavier. You know, I wouldn't recommend, you know, doing a really heavy project for 3-4 hours on end. Find maybe a couple of projects that you're doing at the same time that you can alternate, just, you know, weight-wise, heavy and light, heavy and light. Number 2 is changing hands, you know, and so maybe changing position if you're using a shovel or if you're digging something. You know, you can just, instead of just using your dominant hand, go back and forth so you don't put too much stress on your wrist. Change positions, you know, watching again just that variety as opposed to hours on end in one position, maybe more of a squatting and then standing and then kneeling, you know, just thinking about, or even just stopping and taking a little break, you know, just not doing the same position for hours on end. Change it up. Number 4, we all know how to lift, but let's be real, not everybody does it right. Or when you're doing things for long hours, you get kind of lazy. So when you're lifting something, just remember, keep your back straight. You don't want to be using those small muscles of your back. Instead, the bigger muscles like your thighs and your hamstring and your calves, that's where most of the force of the power should come in lifting. Bring that object as close as you can to your body. And then a little wisdom for you, you know, if you were planting, let's say, and you're bent over for a period of time and then you decide to go get more soil, maybe just hang tight for a moment. You know, don't go right from a squatting position or bending over position, sorry, to more of a lifting position. So maybe just take a little breather before you go back and lift the soil. If you are to go to planting the garden, you know, kneel and maybe even use a little cushion. They've got those great gardening cushions that you can put underneath your knees, and then bend more at your hips so you're bending more in a forward position as opposed to using and curling forward and using your back. It's just less stress on your spine. So again, using a knee pad and bending forward. Number 6 is one that I talk about a lot when people are doing home projects, even if it's the winter, if they're shoveling snow. Obviously in the spring, maybe you've got gravel or dirt that you're shoveling, is to watch not to be torquing or twisting your body. Instead, as you go to scoop up the dirt, we'll say, maybe take that extra step to then release the dirt. Just watching not to be twisting at the torso. That just puts a ton of stress on your low back. So again, 1 through 6, our tips were alternate light and heavy. Change using your hands was number 2. Number 3 is to change positions, you know, not just be stuck in that one position. Number 4 is really being attentive if you're lifting heavier objects. Use your legs, not your back. If you're going to be planting a lot, you know, kneeling down, using a knee pad for that. And number 6, not to be twisting or torquing your spine when you're shoveling, and or if you find yourself doing some yard cleanup raking. I hope you found this helpful. Enjoy your planting season. And certainly I know, just like you, I'm excited for spring.